Part 2, The River Remembers. This part focuses on 3 chapters. Chapter 3, The River Remembers. Obiora learns the ancient songs and stories of the river from Nne Ade. He discovers the river spirit, Onaya, and the importance of remembering her tree. Chapter 4, Iron and Smoke. Developers arrive with machines, threatening the river and the village. Obiora feels the river's pain and begins to understand the cost of forgetting. Chapter 5, The Breaking. The river's silence grows, and the village faces sickness and environmental degradation. Obiora struggles to make the villagers hear the river's voice. 5. Let's ride on. Chapter 3, The River Remembers. The days that followed fell into a rhythm, one that felt ancient, like it had been waiting for Obiora to catch up. Each morning, before the roosters crowed, he met Nne Ade by the river bank. Together, they walked the sacred paths along the water's edge, where trees leaned in close and the air smelled of moss and secrets. She taught him old songs, not just to sing but to feel. Each syllable held a memory, each beat a pulse of the river's past. Sing low when the current is slow, she'd say, and high when it dances. Let the river teach you tempo. Obiora didn't always understand, but he tried. And sometimes, when he sang, the birds grew quiet. The wind paused, and the water, just for a breath, listened back. One morning, as mist rolled in thick over the water, Nne Ade brought him to the shrine, a stone altar hidden in a crescent bend of the river, surrounded by tall reeds. On it sat carved figures, one smoothed by rain and time, turtles, crocodiles, fish, a woman's face crowned with flowing waves. This, Nne Ade said, kneeling, is where we remember Onaya. Obiora bent down beside her. The river spirit. Nne Ade nodded. Long before Aboh-Ida was built, when this land was forest and storm, Onaya fell from the sky. Obiora blinked. Fell. She was a goddess of rain, of tears. When the world cracked from hunger and heat, she wept and wept until her tears became the river. But she wanted to do more. So she gave her spirit to the water itself, so it would never stop flowing, never forget. That's how the Niger began, they say. Obiora stared at the face carved in the stone, serene, yet sad. She was like a mother to the first people, Nne Ade continued. She taught them to fish, to irrigate, to sing to the crops. But when they began to forget her, she grew silent, angry. That's when the floods came, the droughts, the sickness. Did we do something wrong? No, she said, gently touching his cheek. But forgetting has a cost. We forgot her stories, her songs, her warnings. That's why the Ekele-Oma must always listen, to remind us. Obiora ran his fingers over the grooves of the stone. A chill ran through him. What if she's forgotten us too? She hasn't, Nne Ade said. She's just waiting for us to call her name again. That night, Obiora dreamed. He stood in the middle of the river, though it wasn't water anymore, it was memory. The surface shimmered with images, fishermen casting nets in slow motion, women dancing as they pounded yam, children floating paper boats under a mango-colored sky. Then, the river darkened. Machines roared in the distance. The water grew thick, black. The joyful memories sank. And from the depths, a woman rose. She had no eyes, only hollows filled with stars. Her hair moved like waves, her skin shimmered with stories. She reached out to him, not in anger, but in sorrow. They are coming, she whispered. And they will not listen. Obiora reached back. But he woke before their hands could touch. The next day, he told Nne Ade everything. She listened, nodding, eyes narrowed in thought. She's warning you, she said. The river sees before we do. Something is coming. Obiora looked out at the slow-moving water, its surface calm, almost too calm. Then I have to warn them. Not yet, Nne Ade said. You must first understand what we are fighting for. A people who do not remember cannot be led. They must feel the river again, her joy, her grief, her song. Only then would they choose to protect her. Obiora frowned. How? Nne Ade placed a hand on his chest. With your voice. But not just yours alone. You must awaken the memory in others. You must become more than a listener. You must become a storyteller. Chapter 4, Iron and Smoke. The first sign wasn't the noise. It was the birds. They vanished. For days, Obiora had noticed the silence. No warblers in the morning, no kingfishers skimming the river, no rustling wings overhead. Even the frogs, once raucous in the evenings, had grown subdued, their croaks few and far between. Something was shifting. And then came the engines. It started as a distant growl, like a storm caught in the throat of the forest. Obiora and Nne Ade were near the river shrine when they heard it, a low, pulsing thrum that grew louder with each breath. Then the trees began to shake. They emerged onto the main path just in time to see them. Boats, larger than any canoe Aboh-Ida had ever known, cutting through the water like blades. Men in orange vests stood atop them, shouting to one another over the din of diesel engines. Behind them trailed long barges piled with crates, metal rods, and strange machines that gleamed like bones in the sunlight. Obiora's stomach turned. Nne, he whispered, who are they? Her face was hard. They are what the river feared. By midday, the village square was buzzing. The boats had docked, and the strangers, developers, engineers, and men with smooth voices, had set up tents near the central tree. Their leader, a man with oiled hair and sunglasses, introduced himself as Mr. Agbo, a development liaison for Kano Delta Holdings. He smiled too wide and promised too much. Roads, a shipping port, modern buildings, clean water, jobs for your sons, schools for your daughters. His voice ran like a sermon. Obiora stood near the back of the crowd, arms folded, heart pounding. He didn't like the way the machine stared at the river, cold and indifferent. He didn't like how some of the elders smiled either. One of them, Chief Okuri, stepped forward. These are good people, he said, clapping Mr. Agbo on the shoulder. They will bring light to our village. We cannot remain fishermen forever. Someone cheered. A few others clapped hesitantly. Obiora saw Chuka among them, nodding eagerly. Don't they know? Obiora muttered under his breath. Nne Ade, beside him, didn't answer. Her gaze was fixed on the river, where oil already shimmered in the shallows. That night, Obiora stood alone by the river. He dipped his fingers into the water. It felt wrong, warmer, thicker. Are you still there? He whispered. Nothing answered. He closed his eyes, listened. Silence. Then a dull ache behind his ears, a pressure building in his chest, a sob just beneath the surface. He clutched his shirt, gasping. For a moment, it felt like drowning without water. The river wasn't silent. It was hurting. Over the following days, construction began. The riverside trees were cut down to make space for equipment. Canoes were moved aside. The shrine was quietly fenced off for safety. Every evening, the engines roared until dark. The sky smelled of smoke and dust. The fish in the market grew fewer. The children stopped swimming. Even the oldest drummer, Pauche, stopped playing his evening rhythms. One afternoon, Obiora returned to the river to find two men measuring the land with a strange beeping stick. This is sacred ground, he said, stepping in front of them. They glanced at him, amused. Go home, boy. He didn't move. One of them raised a hand, but Nne Ade appeared from the trees, her face like carved stone. Touch him, she said softly, and see what the spirits do. Back at her compound, Nne Ade handed Obiora a bowl of bitter leaf soup. You are seeing now, she said. Seeing what forgetting does. They don't care, he muttered. They think this river is just water. They don't hear her. Then you must make them hear, she said. How? Nne Ade reached beneath her mat and pulled out a small wooden box. She opened it to reveal old, worn scrolls, pages of chants and stories written in fading ink. "These are the last songs of the first Ekele-Omas," she said. "They were not warriors. They were reminders, voices. If you want them to listen, Obiora, then you must speak louder than the machines." Obiora looked down at the scrolls. His fingers trembled as he reached for the first one. That night, he dreamed again. This time, the river was not still. It churned, angry and black. The woman rose once more, her face cracked like clay left too long in the sun. Her voice shook the sky. "The storm comes. Will you let me drown?" Obiora reached out, and this time, she did not disappear. She gripped his wrist and said, "Remember me." Chapter 5, The Breaking the River was bleeding. Not with color or blood, but with silence. Thick, suffocating silence. Even when the machines roared and dust spiraled into the sky, the heart of the river, the soft music Obiora had always felt, was gone. It was like trying to hear with your ears underwater, muted, distant, wrong. He sat at the bank, clutching one of the scrolls Nne Ade had given him. The words were old, sacred, fragments of a song meant to awaken Nne's voice. But now, even when he sang them, they felt flat, empty. "She's retreating," he told Nne Ade later that evening, staring into his untouched bowl of yam porridge. "It's like she doesn't trust me anymore." "She is not retreating," Nne Ade said, her voice tight. "She is watching, testing. She needs to know you will fight for her when no one else will." "But what if it's too late?" Nne Ade looked up sharply. "It is never too late for those who remember." Obiora wanted to believe her, but things in the village were changing too fast. The machines had begun to dig deeper into the riverbank now, carving through the earth like invaders with no regard for what lay beneath. They'd cut down the sacred Iroko tree, claiming it was unstable and in the way of new road plans. No one had stopped them. Even Chief Okori, who once led prayers at the water's edge, now shook hands with men in suits and nodded at plans drawn on glass screens. The shrine was barricaded behind barbed wire, and the elders, silent. Obiora tried. He called a meeting beneath the tree stump where the Iroko once stood. A few came, old Pouche, the fisherman Mama F, and 3 younger boys who had once danced during the Yam festival. But most stayed away. They fear losing what little they think they have left, Nne Ade told him later. "They've already lost it," Obiora said bitterly. Then, the sickness came. First, it was the fish, caught with cloudy eyes and bloated bellies. Then, the water began to smell. A strange, metallic stain that clung to skin even after washing. Children developed rashes. A goat collapsed near the riverside and never stood again. People whispered, blamed the rain, the wind, the gods. But Obiora knew, and so did the river. One afternoon, Obiora and Chuka crossed paths near the school. It had been weeks since they'd spoken. "Where have you been?" Chuka asked, kicking a stone along the dusty path. "Everyone says you're spending too much time with old stories." "They're not just stories," Obiora said. Chuka sighed. "Look, I don't like those machines either, but my father got work with them. Real pay. Not like fishing or farming. You want us to go hungry for a ghost?" "She's not a ghost. She's a memory," Chuka said. "And memories don't feed families." Obiora wanted to yell, to shake him, but the words died in his throat. Instead, he turned away and walked back toward the river. That night, Nne Ade's cough worsened. She tried to wave it off, just old lungs, don't worry your spirit, but Obiora saw the worry behind her smile. He sat beside her, held her hand, and read aloud from the scrolls, voice cracking on the last verse. She squeezed his fingers. "The breaking always comes," she whispered, "before the mending. You cannot run from it. I don't know how to stop them." "You don't have to stop them," she said. You have to remember loud enough that they stop themselves. The next morning, the river was lower than Obiora had ever seen it. He stood barefoot on cracked mud, watching bubbles rise from beneath the surface. The machines thundered nearby, digging, dredging, ripping through the roots of memory. No birds, no frogs, no music. Obiora stepped into the water, knee-deep, waist, chest, until the world went quiet. He closed his eyes, breathed, and for the first time in days, he felt something. A tug, not physical, but spiritual, a call. Come deeper. He dove. The river was dark below, but calm. Obiora moved through it like breath through a flute, pulled towards something glowing faintly ahead. It shimmered beneath a bed of stones, hidden at the base of an ancient tree root, wrapped in algae and thyme. A carved staff, short, thick, etched with lines older than language. Ofo. His fingers closed around it, and the river, just for a moment, sang.